Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, guys, no matter how violent the protests get, the liberals in media and the liberals in Hollywood continue to promote the protest and refuse to denounce it. Quite an astounding thing. And I know, talking to you today, Darren, this is something that's really starting to peeve us off. We've almost reached a tipping point. What have you been seeing, Maggie?
Well, look, so we've got this ground zero for this 1960s free speech movement. The irony of this, of course, we're talking about the protest happening in Berkeley. A bunch of whining, sniffling babies, 20-something. I can't tell if they're men or women. They're in skinny pants with bandanas over their faces.
Making fools out of themselves.
It's honestly, put down the BPH line cans and maybe your political views will change, because at this point, it's utter anarchy. It's chaotic crap. And it's not even interesting crap. You know, we saw this young girl. Her name's Kiara Robles. Infowars reached out to her this morning. She was pepper sprayed in the face for expressing a political view. That's what we've come to at the birthing center of free speech in this country. Full circle.
And meanwhile, the liberals in Hollywood, they're losing their mind, right? They are
Literally.
They're openly embracing, this is domestic terrorism, in my opinion, what's going on at Berkeley and these riots, domestic terrorism. First, we had Madonna a couple weeks ago saying that she's thought several times about bombing the White House. And now we have psycho Sarah Silverman, who's calling for a military overthrow of the U.S. government to take out President Donald Trump. These people are insane. And this is more proof that liberalism is a mental disorder, man. I mean, these people are nuts.
And I wonder, where do you draw the line to start calling some of this activity treasonous? There has to be some sort of line drawn, especially if these protests continue to get more violent, more destructive, more property damage. Only one arrest apparently last night.
I didn't know there was any.
How is that possible?
How is it possible? You're absolutely right.
They stood down. So what we saw is literally protesters. The cops were on a balcony. They were hurling firecrackers at the police officers. I saw 2 shots. I watched these videos all morning long. They were subdued. They let these people wreak havoc on the entire community. They were, breaking Starbucks windows. I don't even understand that, folks.
Behaving like fascists.
Seriously, you've got the fascists promoting fascism, the anti-fascists. Excuse me.
It's 1984.
It's 1984.
Well, and I still want to focus on Sarah Silverman a little more, because a lot of people are like, who cares? I mean, it's just some trashy Hollywood actress that wants people to rise up and take over the government,
And she's always been trashy.
She's always been trashy. But Hollywood, they do have the power of influence. Okay, Sarah Silverman has close to 9 million Twitter followers, right? And a lot of those people are probably just as batshit crazy as she is. These people are dangerous. And like I said, that Hollywood and the left stream media, they do have the power of influence over these lemmings who are out there doing this stuff. So I just think it's very dangerous. And you just got to wonder, like you're saying, is it treason? I don't know.
Well, my thing is, it's one thing when they just want to spout off nonsense on social media or get in front of the camera and spout off nonsense. And then maybe it reaches another level when you talk about Sarah Silverman, basically threatening the government or threatening to overthrow. You talk about Madonna offering fellatio for a vote for Hillary. This is kind of the stuff where now you're like, now you're on the border of, okay, are you what you're saying legal?
It helped Trump win. No one wants fellatio for Madonna.
But it's the question to me is, I think Hollywood's losing their influence over the real Americans, over the majority of Americans, but they still have the influence over, obviously, the delusional, the mentally deranged people who are out now committing acts of violence. And me and you have been talking about this, Darren. It's like, look, eventually someone has to be held accountable. We can't just be having protests, property damage, destruction, all this stuff going on without nobody being held accountable. I mean, somebody has to be. How do we stop this? I think we make example of these people.
Yeah, we need to make examples of them, but there is a blessing in disguise, because the thing about these liberals and these protesters, they just don't learn. They can never learn, because it's the protest, it's the anti-Trump rallies, and it's all these riots that were largely responsible for Donald Trump getting elected to begin with. And now when you look at Berkeley, okay, so they wanted Milo. Milo was only expected to talk to, 200 people? By shutting him down and by doing these crybaby fits and rioting and everything, now Milo has a national audience. He was on Tucker Carlson last night. Millions of people are listening to what he has to say, and guess what? They like what they're hearing. Most people like it. It resonates with them. So they're defeating the whole purpose. And so, like I said, it's a blessing in disguise.
Well, he defies the fact that, this false narrative that Trump and Trump supporters are anti-gay. Milo is very outspokenly gay, people. He represents everything that they can't understand, that they can't put in a box. Speaking of Sarah Silverman, because I want to go back to this, she says, wake up and join the resistance. Once the military is with us, fascists get overthrown. You're a fascist, sweetheart, but she finishes it with 4 heart emojis, so it's still a Love Trump's Hate campaign, even though she's promoting hate and violence and the overthrow, the anarchy of anarchist view of a government overthrow. She's finishing it with 4 heart emojis, so we're all good. We're all good in the hood, as long as you.
Well, it's just amazing. The double standard of the left has never been more palpable. When they go low, we go high. That's been completely repudiated. Mm-hmm. Well, Donald Trump is an anti-Semite, a homophobe. You just protested a Milo Yiannopoulos event, a homosexual Jewish man. So, I mean, we can go on and on with all these case studies. Mm-hmm. But I mean, look at this. The Soroses are involved in this. Again.
Darren and I were talking about this, right? Off camera. We understand that Alex Soros has a PhD. He's getting a PhD from Berkeley.
Well, yeah, he's there in Berkeley. He's probably there. I wouldn't be surprised.
Somebody said they spotted him in the protest. We could not find a photograph, so we didn't bring it to you directly. But the understanding is that the activist that showed up, 150 in number, were most likely Soros-backed. No confirmation on that yet, but it makes total sense. It's what they do.
He's already got his own foundation, too. So, he's trying to leverage whatever type of powers he can from that and whatever people he can bring in to try to influence as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all I have to say to the liberals out there, be careful what you ask for. Because if you want a civil war, it might come true. I mean, and trust me, you don't want it. You don't want it.
We don't want it. Who would want it? It looks like the left wants it.
They do want it.
And what are they going to go up against? 55 million gun owners in America? And you might think you're tough because you can light a trash can on fire.
Darren.
Sarah Silverman's your leader and Madonna's your leader. Did you see punch a woman in the face? I mean, come on, man.
Did you see the video of that teacher who's like shooting the squirt gun at they don't even know how to use a firearm. No. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't even know the first thing to do with it if they had a firearm in their hand. But it's beyond that. These are the most chicken-necked, weak people I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Darren, you or I mean, granted, they had metal poles and things on fire and pepper spray. I still think we probably could have taken down the whole thing, which is why I'm sitting here scratching my head, which is, again, we have to look in the mirror and say, we've been protesting the police state. I hate the fact that I would ever call for police to try to quell a protest. But I mean, again, we have to draw a line somewhere, and it really hurts me deep that this is going on in my country more than anything. This is what we're witnessing here is the tearing apart of our society, our country, the United States. They're trying to bring it down.
He will not divide us.
Right? They don't give two you-know-whats about our nation, about us coming together as a people, about us growing economically and being one. They care about division.
Immigrants made America great, even though they're here protesting America. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They care about tearing us apart. And if that is not clear to you, you need to get your head examined, because the only thing they care about, I want to take you to Rosie O'Donnell's tweet. And you and I talked about this on the air a few weeks ago. I fully support
Put them in mental institutions.
Imposing martial law, delaying the inauguration. She's calling for frickin' martial law, folks. Somebody who's supposed to be a liberty lover. These liberals, they claim that they love liberty and freedom. All they really do is hate men. We were talking about this off camera. I'm not going to repeat anything we said, but speaking of Sarah Silverman, the most sexually explicit, ridiculous rhetoric. I had the opportunity of attending one of her comedy events when I lived in LA last year. I still can't get it out of my head. I literally, you need therapy after you hear it. It's some of the most grotesque, base,
shock humor, right? I mean, that's all she's about, is shock humor.
Explicit material. It wasn't funny. I don't get why she's famous, and we need to have some new role models here.
Why she's famous, because she's willing to do or say whatever the establishment tells her to do. Whatever the liberal establishment wants Sarah Silverman to do, she will do. That's why she continues to get jobs. I talked about this a while ago. Sarah Silverman has never been funny. The only reason she's gotten any contract, any job ever, is because she's a total shill.
Yeah, because she's a liberal. And they go to these, like the Golden Globe Awards, and they'll go get up there and trash the president, and they look throughout the audience and they see all the other Hollywood elite, and they're like, oh my God, it's so good to be part of this elitist group. But guess what? The average American person does not identify with Hollywood trash.
Mm-mm.
The liberal movement in Hollywood, the liberal movement in the media, the liberal movement on the streets has reached cult levels. It's time to start holding these people accountable. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Infowars Nightly News returns tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central.
In case you haven't heard, Infowars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. Infowars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the Infowars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. Infowars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the Infowars store that are only available for Infowars Prime subscribers. That's Infowars Prime at Infowars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.